Oga Chukwuemeka?
Emmanuel? You knew? You knew who I was? From the beginning? You're Kelechi Chukwuemeka? The billionaire?
Yes.
The man I ran from? Was any of it real?
Yes, all of it.
Why didn't you tell me?
Because I wanted you to love me without my money.
You should have trusted me with the truth.
There is something else.
What?
Your father.
My father?
I think you need to see this first.
And my father?
His company is connected to it.
No. You're saying my father caused this?
I'm saying the evidence points to his company. You don't have to believe me. Choose the truth.
Then start talking.
It started 11 months ago.
If the person you loved had hidden his true identity from you, but everything he gave you was real, would you forgive him for the lie? Or would the lie be enough to make you question every beautiful moment you shared? Think about that for a moment. Because Diana was about to discover that the truth about Emmanuel was only the beginning. Sometimes, the truth doesn't hurt because it is false. It hurts because it changes the meaning of everything we thought we knew. And that's why honesty matters. A secret may feel harmless when you are hiding it, but when the truth finally comes out, the other person gets to decide whether the secret was worth the damage it caused. Love can survive many things, but trust becomes difficult to rebuild when someone chooses what you are allowed to know. And Diana was about to learn that some secrets are much heavier than money, love, or even family. But there was one thing she still didn't know. Why had Emmanuel been hiding from his own family in the first place? And when she finally learned the answer, she would have to choose between the man she loved and the family she was born into. Adaeze Chiamaka Okonkwo was born into money, a lot of money. Her father, Chief Obiora Okonkwo, owned one of the biggest construction companies in Lagos. His company built houses, offices, hotels, and shopping centers. His name was known across the city. His buildings stood tall along Victoria Island and Lekki. People respected him, some feared him, and many wanted to do business with him. Adaeze grew up inside a huge mansion on Banana Island. She had drivers, maids, security guards, private schools, everything money could buy. But there was one thing her father never gave her: a choice. Her father believed family came before feelings and business came before love. Adaeze learned this very young. She also learned something else. Her father had always wanted a son, but he had only one child, a daughter. So he raised Adaeze to become the person who would protect his name, the person who would one day help him build an even bigger empire. And then, when Adaeze turned 24, her father made a decision for her. One night, he called her into his study. She was still wearing the gown from her university graduation. She walked in smiling. "Papa, you called me?" Her father didn't smile. He kept looking at the papers on his desk. "Adaeze, sit down." She sat. He pushed a folder toward her. "What is this?" "Your future." She frowned. Then he said the words that changed her life. "You are getting married." Adaeze stared at him. "To who?" "Kelechi Chukwuemeka." She laughed nervously. "Papa, I don't know him." "You will." "But why are you telling me this now?" "Because the families have already agreed." Adaeze's smile disappeared. "What families?" "The Chukwuemekas and the Okonkwo." Her father leaned back. "Kelechi is the son of Chief Emeka Chukwuemeka. Their family has oil money, we have construction. Together, both families become stronger." Adaeze stared at him. "So this is business?" Her father looked at her. "Everything important is business." "Papa, I don't want to marry a stranger." "You don't need to love him." "I don't?" "No." He closed the folder. "You only need to understand what this marriage will do for this family." Adaeze stood. "No." Her father looked up. "What did you say?" "I said no." His face became hard. "You don't have a choice." That sentence followed her all the way upstairs. That night, Adeze stood in front of her bathroom mirror. She looked at her long hair, her expensive clothes, her diamond earrings, everything her father had chosen for her. Then she remembered his words, "You don't have a choice." She walked to the drawer, pulled out a pair of scissors, and began cutting her hair. One piece fell, then another. She cried, but she didn't stop. By 2 in the morning, her long hair was gone. So was the woman her father thought he controlled. Before sunrise, Adeze packed one bag. She took some cash. She took a few clothes, and she left. She left behind the mansion, the drivers, the guards, the family name, and the wedding. From that morning forward, Adeze Okonkwo was gone. She became Diana, and she went to Port Harcourt. She thought she was running away from a rich man she had never met. She had no idea that the man was already running from his own life too. Port Harcourt did not care that Diana had once lived in a mansion. It did not care who her father was. It did not care about her family name. And that was exactly what she wanted. She rented a small room in Diobu. The room was hot. The roof leaked. The bathroom door didn't close properly. But Diana loved it. For the first time in her life, nobody was watching her. She found work with a tailor named Mama Nruzi. The woman was strict, very strict. "You are late." "I'm sorry." "Sorry doesn't sew clothes. Sit down." Diana smiled. "Yes, Mama." She learnt quickly. She stitched dresses, cut fabric, swept floors, carried packages, and slowly she became someone new. Nobody called her Chief Okonkwo's daughter. Nobody cared about her father's money. She was simply Diana. Then, one afternoon, she met Emmanuel. She was walking down a busy street, carrying a bag of fabric. A Danfo bus had broken down. A young mechanic was lying under it. His shirt was dirty, his hands were covered in grease, and he was laughing with the driver. Diana stopped for a moment. The mechanic looked up. Their eyes met. He smiled. "You're lost." Diana frowned. "No, I'm not. You've been standing there for 30 seconds. I was looking at the bus." He laughed. "Haha, that's what lost people say." Diana smiled despite herself. "I just haven't learned every street here yet." "Then you are lost." He wiped his hand on a rag. "My name is Kelechi." Diana froze for half a second. Kelechi. The name meant nothing to her then. It was a common name, so she didn't think about it. He added, "Everybody calls me Emmanuel." "Diana." He held out his hand. She shook it, and neither of them knew how dangerous that simple handshake would become. Because Emmanuel wasn't really Emmanuel. He was Kelechi Chukwuemeka, the billionaire heir Diana had run away from. And he had recognized her the moment he saw her. Months earlier, he had seen a picture of her in his father's office, Adeze Okonkwo, his future bride. He knew exactly who she was, but he said nothing. Why? Because Diana was the first woman who looked at him without seeing money. She didn't know his family. She didn't know his wealth. She didn't know his name. She only saw a mechanic. And for the first time, Kelechi liked being nobody. So he kept his secret, and Diana kept hers. Neither of them knew that their little lies were already building the biggest problem of their lives. Days became weeks, weeks became months, and somehow Diana and Emmanuel became close. He would wait outside Mama Ngozi's shop. "You are late," Diana would say. "I was working." "You're always working." "I need money." "For what?" "To buy you food." She would laugh. "You don't have to." "I know." "Then why do you?" "Because I want to." And Diana would look away so he wouldn't see her smile. They were not rich. Sometimes they shared one plate of suya. One evening, Diana looked at the plate. "That's your half." Emmanuel shook his head. "No, it's yours. You've eaten nothing. I ate earlier." "You are lying." He laughed. "So are you." She smiled, and they ate together. It wasn't luxury, it wasn't expensive, but Diana had never been happier. They walked near the waterfront at night. They talked about dreams, music, family, life, everything except the things that mattered most. One evening, they sat on an old wooden crate. Diana looked at him. "You ask too many questions." He smiled. "You avoid too many questions." "Like what?" "Where you are from?" She looked away. "Somewhere in Lagos." "That is not an answer." "It is the answer you are getting." He laughed. "Fine." Then she asked, "What about you?" "What about me?" "Where are you from?" He smiled. "Somewhere far away." She laughed. "You see, you do the same thing." They both went quiet. Then Emmanuel said, "Maybe we're both hiding something." Diana looked at him. "Maybe we are." Neither asked another question, because sometimes people know the truth is standing behind a door. They just don't want to open it. But Emmanuel had another life after Diana went home. Every night he returned to his room and he opened a folder. Inside were inspection reports, safety reports, photographs, names, documents, and one list of 47 people. 47 people who had died when a building in Lekki collapsed 11 months earlier. At the bottom of the list was one name, Chukwuemeka Nwachukwu, age 19, construction worker, Emmanuel's younger brother. He had died beneath a building connected to Diana's father's company, and Emmanuel had spent 11 months trying to find out why. He wasn't living in Diobu just to escape his rich family. He was looking for the truth, and he had no idea that the woman he loved was the daughter of the man he was investigating. Then came the day everything fell apart. It happened in the workshop. Diana had brought Emmanuel lunch. She stood outside with the food in her hand. Then an expensive car stopped. A man stepped out. He walked into the workshop. He looked at Emmanuel and froze. "Oga Chukwuemeka." Emmanuel's face changed. Diana stopped breathing. The man laughed. "Ha! Kelechi, what are you doing here?" The workshop became silent. Diana slowly looked at Emmanuel. "Kelechi?" He didn't answer. She looked at the stranger. "Who is he?" The man looked confused. Then he looked at Emmanuel, then back at Diana. Oh, he finally understood. Emmanuel stepped forward. "Diana, listen. Don't. I can explain. Did you know?" He stopped. "Did you know who I was?" "Yes."
Knew?
Her eyes filled with
You knew
tears.
who I was?
From the beginning?
From the beginning?
Yes. She shook her head. "You knew I was Adaize Okomko?" "Yes." "And you knew I was running from the wedding?" "Yes." She laughed bitterly. "So you knew everything." "Not everything, but enough." He reached for her. She moved away. "You let me love you." "I never lied about what I felt, but you lied about who you were." "I wanted one thing in my life that wasn't about money, and I wanted one thing in my life that wasn't controlled by my father." He looked at her. "I loved you." She wiped her tears. "Maybe." "Emmanuel." "No." She turned away. "You should have told me." "I was afraid." "Of what?" "That he would stop loving me." She looked back at him. "And now?" He had no answer. Diana walked away. For the first time in 6 months, she went home alone. And that night, she cried. Not because Emmanuel was rich, not even because he was the man she had run away from. She cried because the one place where she had felt safe was built on another secret. But while Diana was crying in her small room, another problem was already coming. Her father had found her. 3 days later, a black SUV entered the compound. People came outside to look. It didn't belong there. The driver stepped out. He walked toward Diana. Ada, she froze. Nobody in Port Harcourt called her that. My father sent you. He nodded. He says it is time to come home. Diana's heart sank. The wedding is in 3 weeks. She stared at him. I am not going back. The driver lowered his voice. If you don't go yourself, your father will come. Then he left. Diana stood there for a long time. She thought about running again. But where would she go? She had already run once, and now she understood something. Running had given her freedom, but it had not given her peace. So she went to Emmanuel. Rain was falling when she reached the workshop. He was standing alone. They found me, she said. He looked at her. I know. My father says the wedding is in 3 weeks. My father called too. She laughed sadly. Of course he did. They stood in silence. Then Diana asked, Is this fate? No. What is it? He stepped closer. 2 families trying to control 2 people. She looked into his eyes. Then why didn't you tell me who you were? He looked away. Because I was scared. You? Yes. Of me? Of losing you. She shook her head. You already lost me. He was silent. Then he said, There is something else you need to know. Diana looked at him. What? His face became serious. It is about your father. Emmanuel walked to a locked drawer. He opened it. Then he brought out a thick folder. He placed it on the table. Diana looked at it. What is that? Proof. Proof of what? He opened the folder. The first page showed a building. Golding Estate. Diana looked at the date. 11 months earlier. Emmanuel spoke slowly. That building collapsed. She looked at him. 47 people died. Her face changed. What does this have to do with my father? He turned the next page. There was the company letterhead. Okonkwo Heights Limited. Diana stopped breathing. No. The materials were not safe. No. The inspection papers were changed. Stop. People inside the company knew. Diana shook her head. My father wouldn't. Emmanuel looked at her. My brother died there. Silence. His voice broke. His name was David. Diana stared at the list. She saw it. Chukwuemeka Nwachukwu, age 19. Her hand began to shake. He wanted to become an engineer, Emmanuel said. Diana looked up. He used to tell me he would build houses that lasted forever. Tears filled his eyes. And now he's a name on a piece of paper. Diana sat down. Her mind was racing. The man she loved, her father, the company, the wedding, the dead. Everything was connected. You knew this when you met me? No. When did you find out? After I met you. Then why did you stay? He looked at her. Because I didn't know what to do. He took a breath. I wanted justice for my brother. And you loved me. Yes. And those 2 things cannot exist together. He looked down. I don't know. Diana stared at the papers. What are you going to do? Expose them. When? In 3 weeks. She looked at him. The wedding. He nodded. 3 weeks. She whispered. You planned to expose my father on the same day you were supposed to marry me? He didn't plan it that way. But that's how it happened. He looked at her. Maybe the truth has its own timing. Diana closed her eyes. She knew then her life was no longer about choosing between a rich man and a poor man. It was about choosing between family and truth. If you discover that your own family had done something terrible and telling the truth could destroy everything your family had built, would you still speak up? Would you protect the people you love because they are family? Or would you stand with the truth, even if it meant losing your home, your money, and the people who raised you? What would you do if you were Diana? Tell me honestly in the comments. Would you choose family or would you choose the truth? Because Diana was about to face that choice for real, and whatever she decided next would change her life forever. Diana returned to Lagos, but she was not the same woman who had left. She walked into her father's mansion, the same walls, the same paintings, the same guards, but this time she was not afraid. She entered his study. "Papa?" Her father looked up. "Adaze." "Golden Estate." His face changed. She saw it, just for a second, but she saw it. "What about it? Did your company use unsafe materials?" He stood. "Who told you that? Answer me. The government investigated it. That isn't what I asked." He walked toward the window. "Adaze, you don't understand business. 47 people died. They were workers. They were people." He turned around. "You have no idea what you are talking about. My fiancé does." Her father's face became pale. "Kelechi? He is David's brother." Silence. Her father sat down. Diana continued. "He has the documents. Where did he get them? Does it matter?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because if those papers become public, this company is finished." Diana stared at him. "And the families?" He said nothing. "The 47 families?" Nothing. "The 19-year-old boy?" Still nothing. She whispered, "He wanted to become an engineer." Her father closed his eyes. Then he said, "Adaze, think carefully." "I am. You could lose everything. My inheritance, yes. The mansion, yes. The family name, yes." She looked at him. "And what do I gain?" He stared at her. "The truth." Her father laughed bitterly. "Truth doesn't feed people. Neither does a dead man's name." He looked away. Then Diana understood. Her father knew. Maybe he had not signed every false paper himself. Maybe he had not touched the bad materials, but he knew enough, and he had chosen money over people. Diana walked out of the room. She had made her choice. The wedding was 3 weeks away. The press conference was also 3 weeks away. Diana had 2 choices. She could protect her father, keep her inheritance, keep the mansion, keep the family name. Or she could stand beside Kelechi and watch everything her father built come down. Her father called her that night. "Diana," she answered. "Come home." "I am home." "No, you are still thinking like a child." She said nothing. "If you do this," he continued, "you destroy your own family." Diana closed her eyes. "Papa, 47 families were already destroyed. You are my daughter. I know. Then stand with me." She took a deep breath. "I love you." Her father became quiet. "But I cannot protect you from this. Adaze, I won't lie for you. You will regret this. Maybe. You will lose everything." Diana looked around her room, at the expensive clothes, the jewelry, the life she had once wanted. Then she said, "I would rather lose an inheritance than inherit someone else's pain." She ended the call and cried. Because doing the right thing does not always feel good. Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes it costs everything. But sometimes it is still the right thing. The country woke up to breaking news. A major construction company was facing serious questions. Documents had been released. Inspection reports, safety records, witness statements, evidence, and at the center of it all, 47 dead people. Kelechi stood before the cameras. The billionaire heir who had disappeared from Lagos months earlier was no longer hiding. Beside him stood Diana, her father's daughter, the woman who had everything to lose. A reporter raised the microphone. "Miss Okonkwo, your father's company is being accused of serious wrongdoing. Why are you standing here?" Diana looked directly into the cameras. Because 47 families deserve the truth. The room became silent. "My father gave me a life of comfort." She paused. But comfort should never be built on someone else's suffering. A reporter asked, "Are you saying your father is guilty?" Diana took a breath. "I am saying the truth must be investigated. I will not use my family name to stop that investigation." Another reporter shouted, "Do you understand what you could lose?" Diana nodded. "Yes." "Your inheritance?" "Yes." "Your home?" "Yes." "Your relationship with your father?" Her eyes filled with tears. "Maybe." Then she looked at Kelechi, "And I still choose the truth." The press conference spread everywhere. Within days, the investigation became national news. Chief Obiora Okonkwo was questioned. Company contracts were suspended. More witnesses came forward. People who were afraid to speak began speaking. And the truth that had been buried for almost a year finally came into the light. Diana lost the mansion. She lost the life her father had planned for her. She lost the inheritance, but she gained something she had never owned before, her own life. And Kelechi, he was no longer hiding either. The word finally learned that the poor mechanic in Diubu was actually the billionaire heir, Kelechi Chukwuemeka. But Diana didn't care, because she had already fallen in love with him before knowing he had money. Months passed. The noise became quieter. The investigation continued. The old life was gone, but something new was growing. Kelechi used part of his wealth to create the David Nwachukwu Foundation. The foundation helped support building safety projects. It also gave scholarships to young Nigerians who wanted to study engineering. Diana returned to Mama Ngozi's shop, not because she had to, because she wanted to. One evening, she and Kelechi returned to the waterfront. They sat on the same old crate where they had once shared suya. The sun was going down. A ship moved slowly across the water. Kelechi looked at her. "Do you regret it?" Diana smiled. "Regret what?" "Everything." She thought for a moment. "The running?" "No." "The lies?" She sighed. "Maybe some of those." "The mansion?" "No." "Your inheritance?" She shook her head. "No." "Your father?" Her eyes filled with tears. "Maybe." Then she looked at Kelechi. "But I don't regret finding myself." He smiled. She rested her head on his shoulder. "I thought I was running away from a man." "What were you really running from?" "My father's life." "And where did you end up?" Diana smiled. "Inside my own." They sat quietly. For the first time, neither of them was hiding. Sometimes, the person you are running from is not the person you think they are. And sometimes, the life you are trying to escape is the very thing that teaches you who you really are. Diana thought money was the problem. It wasn't. Kelechi thought pretending to be poor would help him find real love. It didn't. They both learned the same lesson. Truth matters more than appearances. Kelechi had money. Diana had money, but neither of those things made them happy. What mattered was who they were when nobody knew their names. When Diana thought Emmanuel was poor, she loved him. When Kelechi thought Diana was just an ordinary woman, he loved her. That showed them something important. Real love should not depend on what someone owns. But there was another lesson. Love without honesty can still hurt. Kelechi believed he was protecting his relationship by hiding his identity. But a secret does not become harmless just because you are afraid of losing someone. Sooner or later, the truth comes out, and when it does, the person you love may ask the hardest question of all. Why didn't you trust me enough to tell me? Then there was Diana's hardest lesson. Family is important, but family does not make wrong things right. She loved her father. She respected everything he had built, but she could not protect his name at the cost of 47 lives. She had to choose, and she chose the truth. That choice cost her money. It cost her comfort. It cost her the life she had been promised, but it gave her something money could never buy: freedom. Because an inheritance built on pain is not a blessing, and a family name is not worth protecting if protecting it means burying the truth. In the end, Diana did not lose everything. She lost the life someone else had chosen for her, and that gave her the chance to build a life she chose for herself. Kelechi lost his brother. He could never bring David back, but he turned his pain into something that could help others. And perhaps that is what healing sometimes looks like. You cannot change what happened. You cannot bring yesterday back, but you can decide what you will do with the pain it left behind. Some buildings fall because their foundations are weak. Some families fall because their foundations are built on lies. And sometimes even love falls for the same reason. But Diana and Kelechi learned that if you want something to last, you have to build it on something strong. Not money, not power, not family names, not secrets. Truth. Because when everything else is taken away, your name, your money, your home, your inheritance, the only question left is, who are you when nobody is watching? Diana finally found her answer, and it began with one decision. She stopped running. She turned around, and she faced the truth. Thank you so much for staying with us till the end. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who loves powerful stories about love, family, betrayal, and second chances. Until our next story, remember, what is built on lies may stand for a while, but what is built on truth can stand for a lifetime.